Welcome to the All of You podcast, where we believe healthy relationships are created by growing individually and pursuing a healthy relationship with yourself.
So let's take a deep breath. Settle in and grow together.
Okay, how do you want to kick off?
I'm open. I'm flowing. I just want to flow.
You silly.
I want to have fun. Fun and flow and deep and vulnerable.
All right. Then we're live.
Oh, we are?
Sure.
Cool. I'm feeling really silly today, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been doing great lately. I think the past day or two, I've had a lot of stress in my body and a lot of fear in my body.
You got triggered in yoga class.
Yeah, I did. Okay, that is not where I was about to take this, because that trigger in yoga class was like completely unrelated to anything I was going to talk about today. I kind of forgot about it, but I guess while we're on the topic, because
You don't have to share it if you're not comfortable.
I'm not going to say what it was, but people are like probably wondering, how does one get triggered in yoga class?
It had nothing to do with yoga class. It was like,
but I think it's cool to share that certain poses you do in yoga can open you up, specifically around my hips. And I think that's a lot of us. We store a lot of our issues are in our tissues, and a lot of that is around the hips. And so sometimes doing like hip opener stretches can bring up resurfaced memories and things. So I had something from the past, like deep in the past, resurface in the middle of yoga class. And it was funny because I didn't leave yoga feeling like peaceful and zen. I left and I was like angry. I was all ticked off, and I had to like walk myself through the trigger and kind of spend some time healing it, which is a blessing. Like, got to celebrate those triggers because it's what allows me to go through the healing process. But I was going to yoga to like manage my stress, not get stressed out. So yeah, that didn't help my week.
Yeah, you've just had a little extra stress lately.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it's self-imposed, which a lot of stress is. And I won't go like totally down the stress rabbit hole, since we did an episode on stress really recently. So we don't need to hear more of my thoughts on stress. But I have past patterning around financial triggers and financial fears. And we're not in a financial state where I need to be stressed and triggered and freaking out, but my patterning thinks it is. Like my body thinks that I should be really stressed out right now. And
well, we just invested some money in a training that I'm doing too. So there's been, we've had some moves that we've made that have maybe triggered it a little bit.
True. Yeah. But we've been making moves for the past year. So I thought, and here it goes, I thought that I had worked past a lot of these patterns and conditioning and triggers and healed them. But the work doesn't really ever end. The patterns we have are a little bit always the patterns. You just get better at noticing them and working through them until you're like expert level at it. So all of that to say, that pattern resurfaced and my body just felt like I was in fight or flight quite a bit the past few days. And I've been having to work through that and work through that feeling, and honestly just not fight it, like allow it to go move through me while knowing I'm okay and I'm safe, and reminding myself that. And forgot where I was going with that.
You've just been stressed lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But you're doing good.
Yeah. Nothing's wrong. Just me. Oh, that's where I was going with that, is this feeling actually I've noticed is been a little sabotagey. Because the feeling in my body is telling me I'm not safe and I'm overwhelmed and there's something to be fearing. And that sends me into this fight or flight. And then I'm not actually able to focus on what I need to get done, which ends up making me more stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like self-sabotage in a way. And I've been paying very close attention to that because I don't want to self-sabotage. And I think that actually, this is the very long-winded intro to our episode and what we wanted to talk about.
Wait, you're not going to ask me how I'm doing?
I was going to say what the episode was about, and then I was going to ask you how you're doing. I was just thinking that the listeners were on the edge of their seats needing to know. So I was needing to tell them.
Oh.
And then
Yeah, you have a thing with that.
Yeah, I do.
You have it like
I have a thing where I feel like we need to tell everyone what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious if people want to know early or if they don't care. So if you have a preference, please tell me.
Well, it's going to be on the episode title.
Yes. Yes, it is. I guess. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm wild. All right. Anyways, what are you working through, babe?
I've been doing good. I'm challenging myself a lot lately. I have a new book that I'm reading that you're reading also, Mastin Kipp, Claim Your Power. And I've been finding some really good stuff throughout my time in it already. So like I read a lot of self-help books, but a lot of them say the same stuff, and sometimes I'll pick them up and I'll put them down pretty quickly just because I'm like, this is the same as the last book I just read. But sometimes I read it all the way through if it's like an entertaining author or I'm just interested in it. And it's rare, I would say, in the past year that I've read a book that's gotten me deeper than just like where I've gone, myself. Usually my deeper work is through meditation, I would say, on my own. I don't really do a lot of meditations. Sometimes I will, but mostly it's just sitting with myself and like what I'm working through in my journal. This book actually causes me to journal quite a bit, but I've had a really good time recently, like recognizing some feelings that I know of. I've labeled them before, I've recognized them, but I would say almost on a deeper level of awareness of like, this is the feeling, and I've named them, and maybe we can get into that, but I've named these feelings now, and like I've nicknamed them. I've named them before with feeling words, but I nicknamed them with my own. Like I have nicknames for my own feelings now.
I'm sorry. You nickname your feelings.
I nicknamed them.
What in the tarnation of worlds? What?
I just did. It was awesome.
Your feelings have nicknames.
3 of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am learning this alongside you, and this is.
I told you about this.
I have never heard. I would remember if your nicknames had feelings.
Wait, no, not my nicknames.
Or sorry, your feelings.
My nicknames don't have feelings.
Your feelings have nicknames.
My feelings have nicknames.
Oh, are you going to introduce us to them?
I can.
And tell us about them?
Yeah, I can, but maybe
ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have a guest on this episode after all.
No. They're just my feelings. Like how you have anger or you have resentment. Like I have a couple feelings that I feel throughout the day that come up for me often. And this book really gets you to a deeper awareness in your emotion and how it's like, and we're going to get all into that, but understanding emotions is kind of the keys to understanding yourself, to self-awareness, to understanding your life, and what, like you said, you have self-sabotagey emotions. So I nickname mine because it helps me, instead of saying like this is resentment or this is anger, I have certain ones that are kind of bigger that I feel often. And so, yeah, I nickname them.
I can't wait to meet them.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we should say it. So today we're talking about emotions, and again, but in this episode, we actually wanted to talk about what it's like to feel them and feeling into your emotions more. So from our own experience, like not just why it's important or why or what emotional connection is, but emotional intelligence, like being intelligent about your own emotions. And so, yeah, nicknaming them helped me become more intelligent to them.
I love this. I'm loving this. So, what's the first feeling that you nicknamed?
So the first feeling I nicknamed was, I would say it's more of a flight feeling, like flight. It's a feeling that I get because I don't think we all experience feelings the same. You know, they're all different levels of our emotional intelligence, and our emotion, like my emotions are different than your emotions because of our chemical balances. Because when you are happy, you might get a certain amount of serotonin mixed with a certain amount of adrenaline or something, and I have a different balance, right?
So, what you're saying is how they feel in each of our bodies
Yeah,
actually feels different. So, we
I
couldn't,
believe that.
yeah. So, we're not sitting here and saying, like, if you have a tight chest and tingling in your fingers, it's anxiousness. Like, it's going to manifest different in each individual person, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my flight feeling that I get throughout the day, like you have fight, fight, or flight. So I kind of named those three for myself, and I nicknamed each one of them. Obviously, there's a ton of other emotions, but those are really big survival patterns that I have, right? So one of my biggest ones is this flight feeling, and it's interesting because it doesn't come from like I need to, my flight doesn't actually cause me to run away always. It causes me to run towards something. So I usually run towards social media, not in the ways that other people do to distract necessarily. I run to learn. I'm scared. What I'm scared of in my flight feeling is that I don't know enough. So I have feelings of like insignificance, or I'm not knowledgeable enough. I'll get triggered. I'll get like kind of triggered, and I'll go, I don't know enough. I don't have enough experience. There's something missing. And this comes from my childhood it's a really deep feeling for me that I've become aware of that resonates and it has to do with anything really masculine, I would say, like really handy, really like working on a car. I can get this feeling because I don't know enough about cars. Um, I've overcome it a lot with houses, but sometimes if I'm like in the weeds with electrical or something, I'll get triggered a little bit. And I often try to overcome this feeling. And so my flight actually wants to, it's almost like similar to like a fight, but it's different. I'll tell you what my fight is. So it's a flight feeling that I have and that's called I call it the boy. That's what I nicknamed it as, because it's like me as a little boy trying to learn about tools or about how to mow a lawn or anything that I deemed masculine that I wasn't taught because I grew up without a dad. It's this really insignificant feeling that's tied to my inner child. That's like my little boy in me that's like scared. And when I have that feeling, it's kind of nice for me to label it the boy, because I go, oh, hey, like I can just resonate with him more. I can feel what it feels like more. I can lean into the feeling versus try to avoid it. And anything that helps you face your feeling instead of run from it, I think is good. So for me, nicknaming him.
I love
And
that.
then I have what I call the hole, which is freeze when I'm
Wait, hold on.
in.
I actually want to like talk about the
You
boy
know,
for a
spend
second.
all time on my nicknames.
No, I just want to say one thing about the boy.
Okay.
The one thing that I want to say about the boy, which I think is really interesting, is the boy was born out of lack and insecurity because you didn't have a dad showing you things. And that was a survival pattern for you of needing to learn so that you would feel adequate. And while that is a survival pattern and not necessarily a good thing, it also is what has given you it's a gift also,
Totally.
because you know how to do so many things. It's actually insane. Like your insecurity of not knowing how to do things has led you to learn how to, I mean, I could name 1,000 things.
I'm a
Like,
quick learner because
yeah,
of that.
you,
But it comes out of that lack.
right.
I get that lack feeling, and then I have to go learn the thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to call that out because we talk so much about trauma and the negative response it has on us. But I think there's also a sliver of beauty in that it's actually been a gift for you in a way because
Oh,
of how much
100%.
you've learned. And I think it's always kind of cool to show that side of trauma.
Yeah, it's never and that's a lot of what like the book Claim Your Power is about. It's understanding how your biggest setbacks are now your biggest purpose. Anything that you've overcome is now the keys to the life that you want. It's how it works. Like overcome it, figure it out, and then don't be a victim to it. And then now you can help other people who are a victim to that same experience. So you're constantly needing to reframe your life. You know, the way you frame an experience is going to change everything. Like I went through a divorce. It was really painful, hardest probably thing in my life. Now I use that basically for my job. I help men who are dealing with divorce for the most part. Like that's mostly the men that I help are going through some kind of breakup or divorce. So that you use your gifts to help other people. And I would have never thought when I was going through it that this would be something I would make a career out of. And, but that's how it works. Once you reframe, then you can start to see that your biggest setback is your biggest gift. Like growing up without a dad was so painful and so hard for me, but that is the reason I am who I am. So yes, you are right.
Yeah, just wanted to call that out.
So yeah, then I have my freeze, which is like I call it the hole, and it's like I react to freeze mode and different than other people where my hole is like I feel not enough in a moment. And the way that I cope is when I feel not enough, I actually want caffeine or sugar. I want to bring myself back up to a heightened energy. When I feel just this hole, this emptiness, this loneliness, I often get it in the afternoon. And what I'm learning about myself is that my afternoon when I was a kid growing up was often alone. I'd come home after school to an empty house and I'd be lonely. And so I think my body at that time of day still remembers that feeling, and I will have to encounter that. So I'm working through that right now, kind of uncovering a little bit more of that and trying to decide, like, did I actually just work out kind of heavy in the morning and I'm just kind of tired right now? Do I need 5 minutes to lay down, or is it a reaction to my trauma as a kid, like being alone and kind of feeling abandoned or rejected? I think it's really hard. Only you can know, And so, but naming the feeling has allowed me to kind of examine it and just lean into, okay, what am I experiencing in this moment? I have to check my journal. I'm missing the last one, the fight feeling. It's like it's not the fighter.
If you don't remember it, go get your journal. I feel like we should really meet all your friends.
All my friends. All right, I got my journal. Okay, so the last one, I call it the push, because for me, this feeling, it's like a fight, but it's not necessarily when I'm like really angry, like there's a bear. It's a certain feeling that I get when I have anxiety, like I'm running out of time. Like there's something I'm going to miss out on. Like, if I guess it'd be like if somebody said, oh, buy this crypto and it's going to, 200x in the next year. And if you don't buy it today, then you're going to miss out, or like today's the only day you can buy it or something like that. Like there's this anxious feeling that I get, this really extreme level of lack that I feel like if I don't move or make a move today, I'm going to lose out. I'm going to miss out. I got to figure this out today. And it happens often, this feeling for me. And it's actually, and this is kind of what we wanted to talk about in the episode, is more deeper level of feeling and emotion. So I can actually feel this in my body. My stomach kind of pushes like an intense, I'm flexing like my core, and my throat like opens a little bit, and my heart like has a lot of pressure on my chest, but from not like on it, like not like somebody's pressing down. It's like my chest wants to press forward. It's like I need to move. I need to like my shoulders kind of come forward a little bit, and it's like this, like I need to move. I need to make an action here. Like if you don't run right now, you're not going to, I don't know, whatever the situation is, fill in the blank. And it happens often when I'm having some kind of angst to making a decision. And I've learned to sit with this feeling quite a bit, but naming it the push, now I just go, oh, that's just the push. And I know what that feeling is. It's trying to tell me it's a survival pattern. It's saying I have to go. But then I can logically, and this is why understanding these feelings are so powerful, because you can then break them down and rewire if they actually are serving you or not. Like I believe deep down, most of what we're doing on this podcast, anyone talking about self-help, any therapist, psychologist, for the most part, what we are doing right now is we are taking our evolutionary psychology and all the different there's a lot of evolutionary psychologists out there that believe different things about mating principles and why men like a woman that looks a certain way, or why women like a man a certain way. Like all this stuff that we have accumulated in our past history and evolution, at the core of what we're talking about and on this podcast and emotions is, hey, maybe some of this stuff doesn't serve us in our new world. And maybe some of it does. Let's just examine it, right? But everyone has different evolutionary psychology. Everyone has different feelings and emotions. Our bodies have remembered different things, and our nervous system is attracted to different things because of our history, our family's history, our history. And so what we're doing is we're going, does some of this serve us or does it not? And I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of examining myself and going, do these feelings I'm having serve me, or are they keeping me stuck? Are they keeping me in fear? Like when we were trying to push through and get clients for the first time, like, is anyone going to want us to coach people? It's scary. Am I going to be able to get a client? Like we paid money for our life coaching certificate. We invested money in coaching, and it's like, is anyone even going to hire us? And my survival patterns wanted me to go, we need to go back to work. And then I would have went back to work to a job that I was unfulfilled in, because something in me deeper down went, you have to do this. You have, like, my calling, my purpose, my heart wanted to lead me on this path, but my survival patterns were trying to keep me from risking. They were keeping me stuck. So I've looked back at my survival patterns and gone, hey, hold it. Like, you're not right on some of this stuff. But that's where self-awareness comes in. When you can actually choose your emotions. Kind of a rant, but I'm going to just go for it. I believe deep down, our nervous system is like a keyboard, and every time we press a key gets pressed, like we notice something. Any room we walk in, there's a certain vibe, there's a vibrational field, and every time a key gets pressed or somebody says something you don't like, it releases a little dose of certain chemicals which in your body, and that is your emotions. That is how you feel. If it releases a little serotonin, you start feeling more up. If it releases a lot of adrenaline and other chemicals that maybe make you angry, you start feeling like a fight feeling. And noticing this and being able to name the different chemistries. It's all these different chemicals, but there's a different blend. It's a different cocktail. So an emotion is a chemical cocktail in your body that is getting released by your nervous system. And when you can actually start to notice them and look back and go, hey, we needed that, years ago, but to survive, but let's rewire that now. Now I'm in a healthy marriage. You're my wife, not my mother. Like, I don't need to react in certain ways. I'm not a little boy anymore, and start to change these emotional reactions, then you are doing the work. You're rewiring your nervous system to play the game of the present day and not a game that was 15 or 20 years ago. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. I love that analogy. And I think that part of that rewiring, for lack of a better word, is observing, okay, this is the situation happening. These are the feelings I'm feeling. And getting curious and going, are these feelings correct for this situation? And when you realize they're not, that's when you rewire and you go, okay, these are the right feelings to be feeling in this situation. And it takes a incredible level of emotional intelligence to be able to do that. But it's not, but that, I think that's the really beautiful thing about emotional intelligence is I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe you're born emotionally intelligent or not. Anyone can learn to be the most emotionally intelligent person in the room. It's learning your own emotions and feelings and feeling into them. And in a very non-arrogant way, I will say that I used to be not that emotionally intelligent. I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Oh no. The more I learned about emotional intelligence, the more I learned I wasn't that emotionally intelligent. And then I've gone on this quest to become more emotionally intelligent, which is a lot of what healing is. And the more emotionally intelligent I get, oh my gosh, the better my life is. When you're the most emotionally intelligent person in your work meeting, in your sales call, you're smashing it. Like you're crushing. Emotional intelligence in your marriage or your relationship, it equates to health. The more emotional intelligence, the better rate of health. At least in our experience, that's what I've shown. And then the more emotional intelligence I've gotten, the better I've gotten at connecting with the girls, knowing how to do that. And I would say every single aspect of my life up levels, the better I get at emotional intelligence. And I would say this too, my relationship with myself improved because when I can understand what's happening, it's actually, I would say it's similar to what I said at the top of the episode of when I can realize that the feelings I'm feeling in my body are just my survival patterns and listening to them is going to self-sabotage and I should choose to feel them, but act according to what I consciously want to do. Massive up level in life.
Totally.
Massive up level in life. So and in a way that was probably just a very long sales pitch on why to become emotionally intelligent, which I think everyone's probably sold on. I don't think there's anyone that's like, I'll pass on that. But
Well,
everyone
let's talk
wants
about
it.
that. Why do people not want to? Because not
No.
everyone's reading books about emotional intelligence or trying to become more emotionally intelligent. I think people think they can become emotionally intelligent with logic.
Yes.
And you can't. It's not the same thing. You're not talking, at least about yourself. You might be able to pick up on different things. I think a lot of people have this who are, what do they call it? Hyper vigilant, like a hyper, what do they call that?
Oh, it's like a hypersensitivity. What is it?
Yeah, hypersensitive
Yeah.
towards if you grew up in a
Almost like
traumatic
an
environment.
empath in a way.
Yeah, if you grew up with like a parent that was maybe a little,
Had you walking on eggshells.
yes, yeah, then you're always on eggshells, and so you become hyper vigilant, you become hypersensitive.
Hyper-aware.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you develop of others' emotions. So you're really good at others' emotions, but maybe you didn't develop self-awareness, and that was me. I was really good at handling the emotions of others, but I had no idea how it was actually negatively impacting me.
Well, it was a survival pattern.
Yes.
And that is the beauty and the curse of a lot of empaths is you had to become hyper aware of everyone's emotions around you because that's what you needed to do to survive.
Yeah.
Because there was emotional volatility. So it's a survival pattern that's beautiful in that you are so aware of the feelings around you, and it's almost like a sixth sense in a way, but it also doesn't always serve you in that it's a survival pattern that has you focused on everyone around you instead of on how you're actually feeling inside.
Yeah, well, it led to burnout and eventually just cracking myself. Like it led to me coping and drinking and trying to numb my own feelings because I didn't have the ability to care for everyone else's and my own. But in turning that same knowledge inward on my own and like in through my healing journey, when I started to shift that awareness that I had of other people's emotions inward towards myself, whoa, what a difference. And I don't think everyone actually wants to do that. And I think the setbacks there are they don't believe, they don't understand how. They don't understand, like reading self-help books or emotional intelligent books might help you, but the only way they're going to help you is if you stop and pause when it says stop and pause and journal about this. Go do the work and journal. That's how it will help you.
Hey friends, if you're struggling in your relationships, we want you to know we've been there and real change is possible.
So whether you're moving on from a breakup, working to strengthen your relationship, or just ready to show up differently in your life, we're here to help you out. Click the link in our bio and book a free 30-minute consultation with us, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together.
And if you're enjoying this episode, we would love it if you would like, subscribe, or share this podcast because better relationships start with better conversations. Now back to the show. Well, and I think it's emotional intelligence is not intellectual intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectual intelligence is in your mind.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence is in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't think your way to being emotionally intelligent. You feel your way to being emotionally intelligent. And so many of us have been taught our whole lives not to feel our feelings or to stuff your feelings or don't pay attention to your feelings. And I'm not saying to feel your feelings and then obey your feelings. Your feelings are not facts and your feelings are not always right. But once you're aware of your feelings and you learn how to question them, you become emotionally intelligent enough to feel your feelings in your body and then question, is this right? What is this feeling telling me? And then consciously deciding how you want to move forward. That is emotional intelligence. But if you can't feel, and I say this with empathy because it was less than 5 years ago when someone told me you feel your feelings, and that blew my mind, that you feel them. You literally feel your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? Like, that didn't totally register to me that, oh no, you check in with yourself and you feel into them. And I think that what I just said, there's going to be people laughing at me for how obvious that is, but it's obvious up here, but it isn't necessarily obvious in the body.
Yeah, that's what I believe a lot of people are doing in meditation these days. Not everyone. Some people are staying up in their minds. Sometimes people are just trying to shut their mind off. But attuning into the body's intelligence. Like, just what if there is a whole entire intelligence inside your body, in the circuitry of your body, that is aware and is keeping memories and is storing knowledge, and we aren't tapping into it.
That's not a what if.
Yeah.
That is.
I know. So, but for anyone who like doesn't, maybe doesn't feel their emotions, doesn't spend time feeling their body's intelligence, spend some time trying to learn your emotions. And I wanted to, in this episode, to really get to like the nitty gritty of what that looks like. Like for you, if you have a trigger going on, or if your body reacts in a certain way or is reacting, how do you feel it? Where's your sensitivity? Like, and maybe what did you do at first? And then where are you now in your journey?
At first, I could not separate trigger from reaction. It was, if something happened that triggered me, my reaction was immediate. So I would say there wasn't even space to feel a feeling. The reaction was at the same time as the feeling. And the way that I started to learn how to feel was, and this is like kind of corny, but it worked, is I set a timer on my phone for morning, lunchtime, and at night. That would go off and it would be a body check-in. What are you feeling? And I would write down the feelings in my body in that moment. And I had a words list of a bunch of feelings so that I could go down and be like, oh, okay, it's that one. Because it was so not innate for me. It wasn't, I did not know how to do that. And I did that for over a month. And that, I wouldn't say it was like all fine and dandy after that, but that's when I started to be able to notice, oh, like a triggering event just happened. And now I feel emotions in my body. And it wouldn't be like, I feel this emotion. It would be like, I feel things in my body. I feel feelings. And then I would have to sit and get that words list back out and go, oh, okay, I think it's these emotions. It was slow. It wasn't overnight for me at all. And I would say I'm still learning how to feel all of my feelings and name them at any given time. It's not 100% like clicking, but I'm so much better than I was just, 5 or so years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you say you started learning how to feel your feelings?
Similar, I think, just with checking in with it. I kind of got, because I faced such a trauma at a certain point, I became really aware that there was emotions in my past that were affecting me still. And this led me to start digging backwards into my past and how some of my body has remembered some of these emotions, and really honoring that concept of, okay, when my body feels this way or reacts in this way, it's it's not because of the event that's happening in this moment. It's because of past intelligence of that's what happened to me as a kid, or it's trying to keep me safe. Our body has an insane amount of intelligence, but the reason why we ignore it is because for a lot of us, it's wrong. Like it's not actually right. So like a child, we need to be taught about body intelligence and emotional intelligence. So I learned that my body has an intelligence, but it's reacting like a child. It's reacting because it never matured. I've never spent time learning in the classroom of emotional intelligence. I've only worked on math and science and writing and how to make money. I did not focus on my body's intelligence and these cues that it gives me and try to rewire these. When a kid misspells a word, we correct them. But when a kid's emotional intelligence isn't jiving, we don't know how to respond to that. We just smack them. Really, we tell them get in line, like, and then that feeds their body's intelligence. Even it backfires, right? We cause trauma because we want them in line in their head. We don't really nurture their body's intelligence, and so I believe we're on the cusp of a new awakening of understanding emotional intelligence. And when we can, I don't believe we're fully tapped in yet.
Well, I think there are people that are tapped in, but
more so than others.
As a oneness, as a collective, shall I say, no.
We're growing in this area.
We're growing towards it, but we're not there.
Yeah, and that's why breath work is so huge right now, because breath work is a way to get in tune with your body's intelligence. Anything that gets you dropping into your body to spend time in your body's intelligence, to rewire, to focus on it, and also in the same room with other people's, recognizing how your nervous system syncs with others. And I mean, we don't know what we're capable of as far as our body's intelligence. And we've just been treating our human existence like all of our intelligence is in our mind for a really long time and in logic. But there's a whole other side of the brain that's more emotional. And yeah, when it sends that little feeling up your spinal cord, or your fingers start to jitter or something, paying attention to that. Like that is your body's telling you something. And when it's not right, you go, hey, let's honor this. You got miswired here, and let's rewire this response. And when you can get back in sync and in alignment, you are now, I mean, it's like living a different life. When you have poor reactions to certain things, and then you can rewire those reactions and maybe not produce so much adrenaline or whatever chemical that kind of brings you kind of in a panic, then that's how you're healing your anxiety now. You're healing your anxiety from the inside by nurturing your nervous system and rewiring how much chemicals it produces. Instead of feeding yourself pills to balance it out, you're now doing it in real time, like you're playing a keyboard with your nervous system. You're tuning it.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I think the last thought I feel like I'll leave you with is, I don't believe, and this is just a personal belief, that the smartest person in the room has the highest IQ. I think it's the smartest, I think the smartest person in the room has the highest EQ, because emotional intelligence is what allows you to read the room. And I guess I just personally value that.
Yeah, but also, what about self EQ? Like I was saying, when we can read a room, that's great, but knowing yourself, knowing how to change your anxiety. The people who walk up on stages and have overcome fear of speaking in public, it's because they've been able to rewire their emotional intelligence to not fear speaking in public, overcome that. Their nervous system that's what we're talking about. The people who have been traumatized and just never wanted to love again or never could connect emotionally with a partner, and then have figured out a way to overcome that, they've rewired their body's intelligence. They've rewired their nervous system to now be able to attract and to be magnetic with someone. This is what it is. People who have sexual trauma that overcome that. This is what we're talking about. It is healing. It's the ability to get in touch, but you have to get in touch with it. You have to first locate what's going on and honor it, and then start to work on it internally and with your brain and your body in sync. And this is where a journal, this is where meditation, this is where coaching or therapy, like doing this with someone who's done it, that can hold space for you, is where a lot of the magic can happen, because somebody can witness you and be like, yes, you're on the right track, and, validate your experience and kind of work through that. This is why so many people are investing in learning emotional intelligence with someone, with a coach, with someone that can witness them, with someone who's been there before and done it.
Yeah. It also reminds me of know thyself. And it's challenging to know thyself. It actually takes a lot of work to go inward and really know ourselves. But that is the work that we do. The point is to walk ourselves home back to who we truly are and to know ourselves. And I just personally think it's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome, especially in a relationship with someone else who's doing that work, because then you can, if we're going to bed at night and I want to connect with you and talk or something, and you're like, hey, I'm dealing with something emotionally going on, I need time in my journal. It's like, okay, like we can create space for each other. We cover that in the emotional connection episode, but it's like we can really start to allow space. Like, my goal is for your emotional intelligence to thrive. I want to support you in that, and you want to support me in that, and we're always gaining more knowledge in that way. It's beautiful. It's the best work. But it's not like what most men, I think, would think is, oh, we're just going to sit around and cry and sing Kumbaya. It's like, no, you want to understand this stuff logically? Okay, I'll break it down to you logically so you can understand why feelings matter so much in this world. Because if without your emotional intelligence, you're working with possibly one that's out of tune. You're working with an intelligence that's possibly reacting to things improperly, and kind of, you're not even choosing your life. It's just you're working off your evolutionary psychology.
Well,
why not choose it?
Yeah, I would possibly say it as you're operating from your subconscious patterning instead of consciously choosing your decisions.
100%.
And your subconscious patterns are just going to keep you doing what you've always done.
Yeah, they're just going to keep the same thing happening always until you learn your lesson. And I'm constantly trying to learn mine in new ways all the time. And it's hard, but it's also awesome when you get those wins. You can see your body rewired in that way. You're like, oh my gosh, I just awoken to a new level of consciousness, really. That's what it feels like. Yeah, beautiful.
That was fun. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.